of Pod.
From Atlanta,
where nobody beats the Riz.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm wondering if I can resell that tune. It's hardly been used.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, right.
So, would it be controversial? A rebooted show popped up this week.
Another one.
They're going crazy.
It's like ABC looked over at NBC with Will and Grace and went, "Hey,
we can do that."
And I guarantee you, we haven't seen the end of the rebooted show.
Oh no, it is gonna get. They'll burn it down, is what they'll do.
Even if the show kind of limped its way through its last season, time has kind of restored the luster, and they go, you know what, we can bring it back. Now, of course, there's a lot of shows I'd like to see come back. Number one on that list, say it with me now, 1, 2, 3, Firefly.
It'll never happen.
I know.
You know, it's
There's a reason why sitcoms are being rebooted and not these high-price, $1 million+ an episode, high concept shows.
Well,
middling concept shows.
Well, X-Files, they did do it, and they did
not huge in the budget department.
No, but still, I mean, it's not a sitcom.
Which apparently Gillian Anderson has said, "That's it, we're done." I mean, she's done with it. She won't be coming back, and they left it on quite a big Scully cliffhanger.
Did they? I watched probably 3/4 of the last rebooted season.
Oh, so you haven't got this one at all?
I don't think so. No,
they did exactly what I did not want them to do.
Which was?
They basically started with a conspiracy and ended with a conspiracy, and in the middle was your standalone X-Files things that I'm just. They threaded through Mulder and Scully's son through a couple of them.
Yeah,
but they didn't. Just get to the end game with the conspiracy.
Well, that was always the problem with that show. There wasn't one.
Wrap it. Well, no, there is. They keep teasing it. It's something that's about to happen. It's on its way. It's this. It's that. And if the standalones are enjoyable, they're very enjoyable. So I'm still frustrated that they're not getting to the end.
Right.
But what happens in between,
especially if you're only doing stuff. 6-8 episodes a season now?
Exactly. And especially if I don't know if when Gillian made the announcement to the production, to Chris Carter, like, I'm out after this, you're not going to have Scully for the next thing to wrap it up. So
and at this point in the series, and this point in the years that it's been going on, or bring it back, just finish the goddamn story already.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a decision made by the creative types, and how I am. It's like, let the creative people do the creative thing, but sometimes the creative people just lose track.
And they floundered at the end of the season the first time.
Well, that's because they lost to Coveney,
and they went way too long with it. It went like 9 seasons or 10, something like that.
They overstayed their welcome.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned the Will and Grace thing. That's been doing well from my
very well. And I've watched I kind of watched some. I think I picked up Will and Grace maybe halfway through its run.
We've been going through it again. We've been going through it not again, but for the beginning to end, and we're about 3 seasons in, because it's an easy 20-minute watch, you know. And it's one of those shows that came out fully formed. Like, you'll watch some shows and you'll go to first season and it's like a completely different thing and it doesn't work, and people
don't find their legs until season 2 or 3.
Right. This was after the pilot. They locked into it. Like, the pilot is good. Literally the only difference is Karen doesn't have the really high voice at that point. She hadn't really locked into that, but it was episode 3 she had that character locked in.
The return episodes have been stellar.
Really?
They've been good.
Okay.
I hate to say it, but they've been good. And you know how loath I am to enjoy American sitcoms, just because 9 times out of 10 they're just so dreadful, or so expected, or we have one new angle, but everything else is the same crap that we've been seeing forever. It's just this person is handicapped, or this person is black when you were expecting white, or this person is a doctor when you're expecting them to be a firefighter, or just, they tweak it just enough to say, hey, look at this, when it's really the same garbage you've been seeing forever.
Yeah, they did that on Netflix. They did a reboot of One Day at a Time.
Yeah, they made the family Latino.
Yeah, Latino, and I have not watched it, but I
never watched the original.
I did. I grew up watching it.
Really?
In reruns.
As I say, in reruns.
Yeah,
because you're only 32.
Well, right. Yeah. No. No, I watched it. It was on TV too. Even like talk about dreadful, like the later years when Mackenzie
Phillips was off snorting
gone,
coke
and after and after a while, Valerie Bertinelli left, and it was just like their husbands. Too? I think so. Yeah, it got all like, and I still watched it. Well, at the time there wasn't much else.
I've watched enough of the original One Day at a Time to vaguely know what's going on.
Yeah,
but. The biggest thing I remember about One Day at a Time is that, hey, Eddie Van Halen married that girl from One Day at a Time.
Yes.
And that's about it.
One of my lifelong crushes, Valerie Bertinelli.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
She was a cutie pie back in the day.
So what this long preamble is talking about basically the Roseanne reboot.
Right. Now, I will admit, I never watched one single episode of Roseanne back in the day, except I think there might have been like one linchpin episode where something big was going to happen, and just for cultural whatever, I tuned in. I think. I can't remember if I did or not. It's all a blur.
Okay.
This show was last on the air, 19, 20 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's been, I think it went off the air in like 96, 7, 8, something like that.
And that show was fraught with behind-the-scenes drama.
Well, yeah, because
she's a lunatic.
Because it's Roseanne. And if I remember correctly, they killed off Dan. No, they won the lottery, and then it turned out that whole season where they had won the lottery was really some kind of a dream or fantasy.
No, it was her writing a book, is what.
Or was that what it was?
Something like that. Yeah, I didn't.
But
I don't
Dan
remember.
had died.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, so you pulled a Dallas,
Basically,
Bobby. Was it who played
Bobby Ewing?
Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy. Yes.
When he wasn't being Cartman's leg, or Scuzzlebutt's leg. Remember, Scuzzlebutt is Patrick Duffy. He said, I'm out. And then after he's like, yeah, I guess I'll come back. They went, shit, how do we bring him back? We killed him off.
Dream sequence.
The whole previous season was a dream sequence. Mm-hmm. And Roseanne apparently did that. And then they lost a daughter. And then they brought in Sarah Chalk as the replacement daughter.
Yep.
Now in the new series, everybody's back. And by everybody, I mean everybody. Old Becky and new Becky is back.
Yes.
Except Sarah is playing somebody else. But there's a little joke about that. There's a little joke between Roseanne and God, what's Tom Arnold's character's name? Oh, Dan, of course.
That's not Tom Arnold. That's John Goodman. Tom Arnold was on the show.
That's right. John Goodman plays Dan Connor.
Mm-hmm.
And, you startled me. I thought you were dead. Why does everyone keep saying that,
Yep,
So they poke a little fun, kind of like Will and Grace did at the very beginning of the episode. Hey, but I thought this, and this. No, this. And they turn to the camera, right? And then they let it go. They just because they kind of wrapped things up a bit.
Oh, they did. They kind of jumped in. I watched the last episode of Will and Grace, and they jumped into the future a bit.
Did.
And they showed kind of where
Will and Grace had become estranged. They hadn't seen each other in a long time.
They both had kids that were in college,
right.
and they ended up being roommates or something. Yeah. And then Jack and Karen just lived in the big house after Stan died or something. Yeah. And I was wondering how they were going to handle it. They basically just said, forget all that.
They basically just did like 30 seconds of right, on we go.
Good.
They're just saying, if we don't address it, you're going to be like, what the hell? We're going to address it funnily, comedically, and move right on. And basically, they moved right the hell on.
Well, I will give Roseanne, the old series, the credit, because they would do that kind of stuff. Like once her name is Lacey Goranson, the original Becky, when she left,
we call her OG Becky.
They brought in Sarah Chalk, like you said,
right.
And they did a couple episodes, and then Lacey Goranson came back, and Sarah left. And she came back in.
Really?
Yes, she did. And they did a whole like tag at the end of one of the episodes where they played the theme to the Patty Duke show, where it was Becky's identical Becky's. So they like totally put it out there. So they copped to it, and I think they've made jokes about it through the series.
Oh, there's a joke about it in the first episode.
Well, in the first episode, yes, but I meant in the original series, like when they went through stuff. One of the actors who played Becky's husband either killed himself or he died like in the 90s. So they did address that with Becky's husband being dead and her doing all that weird shit.
So have you watched the
reboot?
The two new episodes?
I watched the first one. I didn't realize the second one was out.
Yes, they did an hour. They did 2 half-hour episodes to kind of bring it back big.
Oh, they didn't tag them together on Hulu then. I only saw the one. So I watched the pilot because I was like, I'm very interested in seeing where this goes. I was curious,
especially since I had never watched the original, just so I was going in pretty much completely fresh. And, it's pretty solid, standard American sitcom.
Well, having watched the original, it's that show. I mean, it's that set, it's that couch, it's that show.
All the commentators were saying that it's like they never stopped.
They just picked up and kept going.
It up. And the reason why there's so many commentators talking about this, well, for 2 reasons. One, it got an 18 share. Very impressive. 18 million people.
Which is unheard of nowadays.
Which 20 years ago would have been like fair to midland, like decent.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's oh my gosh. Yeah. Because let's face it, back in the days when even you had just basic cable offerings, now you've got expanded cable, online.
Well, 1 million people is a big audience now for shows, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. The days of Brandon Tartikoff snorting coke off a hooker's ass are over because those ad dollars are not as they're not as forthcoming as they used to.
In the 80s, Johnny Carson used to get 65, 70 million people a night watching that show, which is insane.
I don't think 65, 70 million people watch any one thing at a time.
At all, ever. No, other than like the Super Bowl.
And sometimes not even that. I think the last Super Bowl
was like 30 million or something.
Yeah, it was like was the lowest rated in modern times.
There's just too much stuff.
Exactly.
Too many platforms, really.
Well, and also people's attention spans are, as someone made a joke once that we should start tweeting out parts of books, and as Twitter expands the character limits,
okay, people read.
People start actually reading as opposed to taking 5 seconds to read 140, 280 characters or whatever, and just start bringing people's attention spans back.
Yeah,
and I hate to say it, but there'll always be those elitists like us that will actually read a book.
Yes.
Yes. But there's going to be a lot of people. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, when I'm going to bed and I look and I've got 3 books by my bedside table that I really want to read, but I'm just so exhausted from the day, half an hour of boob tube and go to bed, you know what? I hate to say it, sometimes I will go to the tube.
Yeah.
Just because I want to turn off my brain. Because when I read, I get very engaged, and then I read well past when I should be going to bed.
I have been...
So I get it.
Yeah, for the last 2 years, I have been forcing myself to read. Like, I'm going to pick a book, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to finish it. And I haven't... I didn't read a ton of books last year, but I read 4 or 5, which is better than,
80%
one
of
or
the country.
None. Yes.
I hate to say it.
I always found it ironic that, again, not to sound elitist, but people, the reality television boom, when that blew up, I thought the irony of that whole thing was the fact that I guarantee the masses of people who watch those shows have never watched a documentary and would like turn their nose up at watching like an actual documentary about something and not realize that's what they're watching.
Well, because if it's a documentary, it needs to actually hew to facts and to actually document. Whereas some of these reality shows, even if things are not being goosed, behind the camera or kind of set into motion, the editing alone kind of sets up.
Calling it reality is ridiculous.
No.
I know people who work on reality shows here in Atlanta, and they're like, well, producers will come in and say, okay, you two have to have a fight now, and you storm out, and and the one a friend of mine, I don't know any names, so it's fine, but it was a one of those shows where, like the house hunter shows, but it was a car hunter show. Like a guy was looking for
finding that rare '62 Ferrari that can be redone or something like that.
But the guy drove up in the car, like it was his car, and the whole thing was a sham. He found this car.
Oh my gosh, I found it! I found it parked on the street at exactly the location where he said, "Please come to this address and park here."
Right?
Yeah. It's oh god, yeah. Let's not get started on that. It makes me weep for the future.
Right.
Now, the 18 share was reason one why people were talking about it.
Well,
reason two is because apparently Roseanne, the character, and apparently Roseanne Barr, the actress, voted for Trump and are Trump supporters.
Right.
And it's not. It is a major story point in the first episode because it's the reconciliation between Roseanne and Jackie, her sister, who was a Hillary supporter, but who ended up voting for Jill Stein. Sorry, this is a spoiler, people.
Yeah, sorry. It's a great gag for what it is.
It sets up, but by episode 2, there's nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the Republicans are going, see, when you make shows for us, the people will come. Okay, aside from Roseanne voting for Trump, which is, 49% of the electorate, because he didn't get the majority, the popular vote.
No.
There's a mixed race child. There is a gender non-conforming child.
Yep.
And they're not kowtowing to Republicans. The only thing that makes Republicans makes their nipples hard is that Roseanne voted for Trump and is unapologetic about it. That's about it.
Did you feel kind of bait and switchy about it? Like, there was the controversy and everything, but it almost seems like they're not pro-Trump. She almost says... No. She says, like, oh, he was talking about jobs, and Jackie, who's usually the reasonable one, was calling them out on it, and they weren't. I thought it was just kind of a sneaky little way to get people to watch, because it wasn't, it created this controversy of, oh my God, they're pro, but they weren't. Had nothing to do with anything.
No, and apparently in an interview with Sarah Gilbert, who plays the oldest child?
Middle child.
Is she the middle child?
She's the middle child.
Middle child. She's also an executive producer on the show, because let's face it, when you're trying to get get the gang back together, it's like,
Well, she's also been doing she's been on one of those talk shows, like daytime talk shows. So she's
been The Soup, The Chew,
one of those,
the Talk,
the something,
the Knob.
So she's been. Her cred is
unlike
is
Becky.
there.
She hasn't been OG Becky. She hasn't been sitting around doing nothing.
Or DJ, the guy, the boy. He don't know where he went.
Oh yeah,
he was on the show. I mean,
but
I mean, like in life, what else he's been doing?
Not sure. But she said, no. If you're looking for nothing but pro-Trump this first season, you're going to be disappointed. There's really nothing there.
Yeah.
Now she didn't say this, but the opinion, the analysis is perhaps that will come out more in the second season of the reboot, or this is what season 10, and the second season of the reboot would be 11. I think that's how it is. And maybe it'll go more Trumpy then. But I have a feeling by the time they're writing and shooting the next series, I don't think they'll be too keen to be talking about Trump.
Probably not.
Because it'll probably be post Mueller report.
Or it'll make fun of him more than it
we'll see.
Seems to have been.
So basically, if anything, I'm happy that Roseanne's a Trump supporter in this, because it's getting people that normally wouldn't watch something like that to experience a gender nonconforming kid, mixed race, all the things that, Hollywood liberal elites are shoving down our throats. Well, it turns out all you need is a spoonful of vinegar along with it. You get your Trump supporter in there, and they'll be happy with anything else you shove in there. I'm waiting for Roseanne to put an undocumented, to give him sanctuary in the spare bedroom or something like that, and be like, sure, no problem. She's a Trump supporter, so it's that's interesting. Apparently, President Awful actually called her to congratulate her on her ratings, because
that's all he cares about.
What?
Yeah.
My impeachment trial will be the highest rated impeachment ever.
Yes.
So,
oh dear.
Yeah, that's no, we're not going to go quite all that way into politics.
No. But I like I said, I thought it was a little. It was a little. They built it up more to get ratings, and it worked.
I think it was built up for them. I don't think they actually pushed her being that much of a
no. I don't think so.
I think the analysis once the 2 episodes were given out for review before the premiere on television for everyone else, that's what everyone else glommed onto.
Yeah, and went nuts.
And I think maybe some of the ABC promos might have kind of changed a bit to reflect that a little bit, to kind of take advantage of that fervor.
Honestly, I think it's a brilliant move to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Hey, I watched it. And I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Roseanne. Like I said, maybe there was one that was supposed to be some big episode, but the only thing I know about Roseanne was just what was in the general news. Like it was all a dream, or she was writing a journal, and then Dan's dead, and all this other stuff.
I mean, I watched a lot of that show when it was on because I liked sitcoms, I thought it was a good move to do that, to make a character, because there aren't any really like conservative sitcoms, any conservative characters.
There was Last Man Standing. That apparently got canceled. I'm guessing because of the ratings, but apparently, of course, the conspiracy was we can't have conservative voices in Hollywood, so that's why they canned it. And I'm all for, if anything, I'd like to see conservatives portrayed as not these mindless, brain-dead acolytes suckling at the teat of Trump. There's a lot of them that are just fine, decent people, maybe misguided, and, maybe they have completely liberal social views, but the fiscal side makes them vote Republican or whatever. So, it's, conservatives and Republicans are not a monolith of evil. Now, what Republicans do is pretty much a monolith of evil, but the people that make up it's a tapestry. It's a melting pot of evil to just misguided.
Right.
Ted Cruz down to someone on the local city council that just doesn't want that book taught in school because it had the word breast in it at one point.
Oh, jeez.
I was exposed to a boob in 5th grade, and it wrecked me for life. I still haven't recovered.
I know.
Speaking of something that we cannot recover from if it were to happen, have you heard the latest petition being passed around by fans of Star Wars?
Ugh, no, I haven't.
They're petitioning to replace a
I
character.
have. Yes, I have read that. I think...
No.
Yeah, no.
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 Sorry.
No.
What the petition is that for the last...
I think it started out as a rumor, and then they glommed onto it, and then started the petition. I believe that's what it was.
Either way, I don't want it to happen. They're talking about, and this is the fans, nothing official has ever been said about this. They're going to stick with the original story for episode 9, but without Carrie Fisher to play Princess Leia, they want to bring in Meryl Streep.
Yes.
Now, yes, there's connections between Meryl and Carrie.
Oh, many, yeah.
Yes, and she is a fantastic actress who could do any role.
Right.
And I say no.
Right.
I mean, unless the story is so Carrie heavy, which apparently it was going to be, that they cannot salvage it. And even then, salvage it. Trust me, there's a way to do it.
You get Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams to do it, to fix it.
Is Kasdan on the script?
I don't
for this
think.
one?
I don't know. I don't believe so.
Because I trust Kasdan.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust JJ to a certain degree. I don't know what all the hatred of him is, but
like I said, again, going back to Force Awakens, he was in a bad position.
Well, it's like, it's too much like A New Hope. If he had made the film the other way, it's not enough like New Hope. Like,
exactly.
You know what? Shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
You know, it's never going to be 1977 again. And we get it that was your cherished childhood memory. And if you can't move beyond that and accept new things, then, yeah, but what about the prequels? Well, those just sucked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was just bad filmmaking.
That was just bad filmmaking.
I had an idea of when I was reading that. It won't happen. People will lose their freaking minds if they do it. I was like a way around it. Okay,
a way around what?
Well, no, a way
because we don't know what the story for 9 is, so we don't know what.
Well, not around it, but a way to start the movie. You could have a shot of Carrie that morphs into a hologram, one of the holograms at the memorial for her. You know, like one of those.
Oh, start off with the funeral.
The funeral, yeah.
Whatever.
They have to address it. I mean, if it's in the crawl, I don't think that's enough. But
yeah, they need to do a bit more than that.
Yeah, they will. I mean,
But then again, if they reveal it in the crawl, then it's almost redundant in a scene later in the film, even if it starts the film. So
I don't envy them having to dig away out.
I think if I were writing episode 9,
right,
like I don't, I would mention it in the crawl, but then have little reminders of her throughout the film at points that doesn't rely on live action, you know, like a hologram, like you were talking about, or something that touches on, that has Princess Leia a part of the film, but not recreated, not anything like that. Just the echoes of her life, and perhaps in how she died, because she could have made a major sacrifice, you know, in between 8 and 9 that we don't ever see.
Right.
But we hear tale of it in 9. So there's that.
And again,
keep in mind at the end of 8, the rebellion ain't fucking populating much more than a couple of transports.
Right.
The rebellion is...
It's like 24 people at this point, is what they said.
Now, of course, you know, there are supposed to be others in the galaxy, but when the call went out, who showed up? Nobody.
And they're starting over. You know, they're starting. Yeah. They're not as big as they were.
Well, they definitely do have the kid with the magic broom.
Right. There's one.
You know? So there's one. So he can, you know, well, those stormtrooper, you know, exoskeleton armors are so weak, he could probably whap them upside with the broom handle and they'd fall. They'd just fall right to the ground. So, no.
See, the thing about it is also, they don't have to do that story. I mean, they can. Exactly. They just had to rewrite the script, unfortunately.
Well, if there's anybody at Lucasfilm who has even the least bit of Feige in them, they probably roughed an arc for this trilogy.
Oh yeah,
and they might be reluctant to let go of some of the things that they started in 1 and 2 to pay off in 3. And if they need Carrie Fisher there to do it, they need to find another way for them to pay off.
I've always said, and I think I heard this phrase coined by someone else, limitation breeds creativity. Because you have to.
It's another way of saying necessity is the mother of invention.
Kind of, but I know.
I mean, it is, because you need to do something without Carrie.
Right.
So you got to invent some shit.
I was doing a show with our friend Gina Rikiki one time, and I was doing sound, but I was watching her. The director gave her parameters of things she could do, and she was like, "Oh, I love that. I love having limits that I have to work around. It makes me more creative." And I was like, "That's brilliant." Yeah. You know, you can't, if you can do anything you want, you can do anything you want. But if you have to get to a place in a certain way, you have to think creatively, and you have to work around.
Well, it's almost like how the digital music era has blown my mind. Before, I had a very limited way to get the music and it focused me. Now there's so much out there. My brain can't even handle it.
Yeah.
So yes, I totally get that. If you know you've got a 5x5, performance mental space to be in to go, and you can't go beyond those, you make the most of that space and you rock it, as Gina do.
Yeah.
As Gina do.
Yes.
So she's doing
perfect arrangement.
Doing perfect arrangement down Springer Opera House.
Yep.
So carpool caravan time. Got to go see that. Go check out the Springer Opera House Ghosts. Apparently, it's filled with ghosts.
Yeah, never
Today's
been there.
Gina Garbage Hour show. She talked all about the Springer Opera House Ghosts, and they're pretty awesome.
Interesting. I'll have to zip through that.
So no, I trust you're with me on this. No Meryl Streep.
No one.
Around that. No Meryl Streep. No nobody. Yes, Meryl Streep can do anything, but just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Right. When Richard Harris died after the second Harry Potter movie was out, they had to recast. There was no way.
There's no way you could skip.
You can't
Dumbledore,
finish that story without it.
And that makes sense. But see,
with this, we can rewrite the story.
Exactly. There's no book that people have been reading for years,
right,
and now you have to make it work. If that was the case, then yes, bring in Meryl Streep or whatever. But you're forming from whole cloth.
Right.
You don't have to do it that way.
Right. You can work around it.
Exactly. It's almost like, well, we thought there was some more story we could tell of Darth Vader, so let's bring him back. No, he's dead. Now, obviously, the actor's still around, but he was sounding very geriatric in Rogue One. I'm sorry.
He's 83 or 4.
I mean, considering this is supposed to be,
years before New Hope.
Well, no. I mean, within,
right
6
up to
months, somewhere around there before New Hope, he definitely sounded his age.
Yeah.
They couldn't process that out. A whole, just do us right, man. JJ did okay on Force Awakens within the.
I don't think Kathleen Kennedy would allow that to happen.
All right.
I hope that she would not allow that to happen.
Is she the one that she's pretty much the Feige?
She's in charge.
At least Lucasfilm.
She's in charge of Lucasfilm.
All right.
Yes, she is in charge of. She's the one who shit canned the Solo boys.
Yeah.
She's the one who.
Which, by the way, we're 2 months away from
2
Solo.
months. And she shit canned Colin Trevorrow on episode 9 as well. The guy who directed Jurassic World.
Really?
He was supposed to direct episode 9. That was set up, and about a year and a half ago, he made some awful movie and kind of went nuts in the press. And Kathleen said, "Nope,
we're not having that.
You're not going to come here and do that shit."
It's kind of like how they tried so hard not to have Peter Jackson do the Hobbit trilogy.
Guillermo del Toro was supposed
exactly,
to do it.
Which I would have liked to have seen that version. It wouldn't have probably meshed up as well with the
I haven't even seen all of them. I've only watched the first one, and it was not great.
It's like taking a pamphlet and trying to turn it into a book the size of War and Peace.
Yeah.
It's thin. They brought in a few things from the Silmarillion kind of by the back door because they didn't really have the rights.
It did not need to be 3 movies.
It could have been maybe a 2-parter,
a
solid good 2.5 hour one film. But you know what? The money.
Yeah, the money was there.
They looked at that Lord of the Rings money and went, let's get ourselves some Hobbit
that again.
money.
Yeah, there's a. I get, the supply and demand thing. The Lord of the Rings did huge global business.
Yeah.
But this was just a cash grab, and it just was not good.
Yeah. It was not the greatest. Although Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug was pretty cool.
I don't even know if I saw it. To be honest,
I don't think you at the end of the first one, you've got the eye popping up,
but you don't
of the
see
dragon,
it.
But none of the interaction, none of the
right.
Yeah, that's not till the second one.
Mm-hmm.
You must not have been very impressed with that first one, not to have gone see, because I think Ellen and I went and saw the first, and I think the second one's together, but by the third one, no.
No, I've seen the end of the third one because Courtney's nephew was watching it. He was watching it, and so we were at her parents' house, and it was on. So I kind of watched the end of it. I was like, nah, I didn't miss much.
Yeah, not really feeling it.
Feeling.
And this is coming from the people that sat through the director's cuts in the theater.
In the theater, yeah.
And unlike the old days, where at the 90-minute mark they'd say, "And now intermission."
No.
No. It's 3.5 hours straight through. If you got to take a piss, either invest in a catheter or you're going to miss something.
Well, luckily at that point you knew where you could go.
That's true. If you've already seen the film,
you've seen it, yeah.
And then, yeah, exactly. Another thing that popped up recently, I hate to ask you this because I'm guessing the answer will be no. Did you watch the first season of Westworld?
No, I have not yet. We only just got HBO, so
all right,
it's on the list. Yeah,
you got to.
Yeah.
When that thing was first announced, I remembered the Westworld film.
Oh yeah,
and I just went, "This is just why are they doing this?"
Yeah, if you have not seen it, Westworld was more or less the precursor to Jurassic Park that Michael Crichton wrote. It's kind of the same concept of it's a theme park.
And things go bad.
Things go wrong, and the attractions try to kill you. Right. So if you boil it down, it's the same concept. It's just robots instead of dinosaurs.
Right. The difference between the film Westworld and the TV show Westworld is the difference between the original Battlestar Galactica and the reboot Battlestar
that's
Galactica.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah. It is masterful in what they've done with it.
Great.
I mean, that's a perfect example of what I said. I'm not against remakes. You just find something that you can improve on or didn't live up to its potential or its promise the first time around. And let me tell you, they exceeded themselves. And the trailer
was a low bar. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it's up there in probably the best 2 dozen television shows of the past 20 years, I'd say.
Wow.
It is good.
Good.
I mean, we're not talking The Wire, Breaking Bad good or anything like that, but it's up there. It's good, and it's only its first season. And they just dropped the new trailer.
I have not watched it because I haven't watched the first season.
Don't watch it. I mean, I guess it would give away too much.
Yeah.
You need to watch the first season first. Just wanted to put that into people's heads that the trailer's out there for the new season. If you haven't watched the first season, like our good man Dan here, you need to get on that.
Yep.
It's pretty tight. I mean, the first season had Anthony Hopkins. He doesn't just do garbage,
Well,
he's done.
They did talk him into doing a Transformers movie.
Oh, that's as soon as I said that, I thought, hold it, has he done something garbagey?
That was about the most garbagey thing he's done.
Yeah,
but he's earned one cash. He's earned one paycheck movie.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, after The Lion in Winter, he could have retired and been a legend in my head.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, that was a full 20 years before Silence of the Lambs.
Right, when he blew up again.
When he blew up, exactly. Yeah. Did you ever see the sequel to that? Just Hannibal? The one where Julianne Moore played Clarice.
I think I did.
Yeah, the fact that you can't quite remember didn't leave much of an impression.
Right.
I mean, it was a good film as compared to the original Silence of the Lambs. Not so great.
Right.
But it was decent. And then they actually got him back again for
Red Dragon.
For Red Dragon, and he said in interviews like, I shouldn't have come back for that because it's a prequel. I mean, it's 20 years later, and he's playing 30 years back.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, there's a bit of suspension of disbelief, but yeah, that wasn't great. There is a great version of a Red Dragon out there. It's called Manhunter.
Right? And he wasn't. Yeah, that's the.
And that was Brian Cox.
Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter.
And the guy from CSI, can't remember his name off the top of my head. The guy who was the lead on CSI for all those years.
Really?
Yeah, he played. Was it Grissom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, that was him.
Yeah, the guy in CSI.
I wonder.
He played the guy that was Clarice's supervisor in Silence of the Lambs, I believe.
It's funny. I saw Manhunter like years before Silence of the Lambs. I was like, oh, that was an okay cop movie or FBI movie, and then all of a sudden it became this huge phenomenon.
Oh, it's got a big cult following.
Yeah, I mean it was a Best Picture nominee, if not winner, didn't it? Did it? No. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
It did the
it swept.
Well, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Picture, Best Director, and I believe Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
So it pretty much took all the biggies.
Right.
I mean. I don't know if
it's like, oh, I saw that other movie with Hannibal Lecter with the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that one was actually directed by Michael Mann of Miami Vice fame.
Right.
So,
and it's not bad. I mean, it's not Silence of the Lambs, but it's not bad. Well,
it's a different film.
Yep.
Another TV show that got canned even before it was killed in the crib. Apparently, Donald Glover was working on a Deadpool TV show.
A cartoon.
Yeah. And it is no more. I don't know why. There's a lot of rumors around there. Something to do with Taylor Swift. I have no idea what that's about.
Well, it came up. Did you hear what he did, though?
What did he do?
Okay, well, there was all this talk there was going to be a Deadpool TV show.
Right.
Marvel, and then it went away. I just knocked my microphone out of the way. Then it went away.
It's the Italian in you.
I gotta talk with my hands. No, then it went away, and they said something about, oh, well, Donald Glover was too busy working on Atlanta and other things and all these big movies, so it's not going to happen. And he tweeted...
No, I'm not too busy.
Well, he tweeted... he made a tweet that said, I wasn't too busy to work on Deadpool, and then tweeted a 10-page script of Deadpool, the cartoon. I think it was... from what I read about it, he wrote it specifically to give the finger to Marvel, this current script, because there's a lot of digs at stuff.
Well, he was supposed to be working on it with his brother.
Yes.
So it wasn't like he was solely, because that team was supposed to produce, direct, and write, but it was them together. So who knows if it was 80-20, 70-30, or however they were dividing. Right. So obviously Glover has his hands full, Childish Gambino, Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I guess he's wrapped with Solo by now, probably has a press junket.
Yeah.
The inevitable sequel to Solo. Hopefully not, but maybe. I don't know.
If it's a Lando movie, I'm in. Just give me a straight up Lando movie with Donald Glover. I am down for that. Yeah. As soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, the Han Solo guy looks good, but give me the Lando movie. That's what I'm talking.
And you know what Lando drinks?
Colt 45.
Works every time. It's hey, what does it work at? See, that's I'm curious. How does it work, and what is it accomplishing with the work that it's doing
every time?
Does it mean you get your ass tore up? Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Donald Glover is actually, not only is he playing here, Childish Gambino is not only playing here, he is, the first show of the tour is here, and they are rehearsing the tour here at the Infinite Energy Center, because I have a friend who works there.
Right, because you rehearse a show at Infinite Energy Center
for a week before they put it out.
Pretty big tours, but this is like U2 and the Stones and that caliber. Not necessarily caliber, but that largeness of draw. I can't imagine. Well, you know what? In Atlanta, he could fill an Infinite Arena.
U2 is playing Infinite Energy over the summer.
I'm talking about. I know. I'm talking about Donald Glover.
Yeah, he will fill it.
Yeah.
Well, he's local. He's from here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. In Atlanta, he'll fill that place. Elsewhere, maybe not so much. But these big acts like this, U2 will act. Well, hell, Michael Jackson took over the Staples Center for 10 days before he died to get ready for the This Is It tour or whatever it is that never happened. It's not like you just, slip them a couple of bucks and they let you use the place. That's a huge freaking stadium.
Right.
That's a huge...
But you have to rehearse that stuff. You have to tech all that stuff.
Exactly. And if you're doing it in large venues, then you tech it in a large venue.
Yeah.
I don't know if Childish Gambino is going to play arenas across the country. Maybe I'm underestimating his draw.
Yeah.
I'm still on the cusp of or on the verge of knowing every single thing going on there.
Right.
It's like I'm just, no, not anymore. I look at the Billboard, top 10 hits and I'm going, I don't recognize a single one of these people.
No.
And now I'm becoming my father.
But yeah, he is I think he is that popular, and I think
you think so?
And it might.
His shit is good. This is no disrespect to his.
It might be a I don't want to say gamble, but a testing the waters kind of thing. Like, I think I can fill these
Really?
places. I think so. I think
Well, good. I mean,
with that and with the solo movie and all the stuff that he does, he is
maybe he's looking to parlay. Atlanta, respect, solo,
Yeah.
doing well.
Already
respected doing Childish Gambino. Thing is, though, is that I've heard that he said he's about to retire Childish Gambino.
Okay. Well, they're
And
doing
maybe
this tour.
he's going to go out with a bang with it.
It didn't look like a huge. I remember the day they dropped it because, like I said, I have a friend who works at Infinite Energy Center, and she kind of knew about it a few hours before. Like, she was like, "Oh wow, Donald Glover's coming to the arena to do stuff," and it like half an hour later they made the tour announcement. But it was a cool like poster with a bunch of dates and stuff and cities on it. Didn't look like, it wasn't like a 2-year 200 city tour. It was like maybe 30 cities or something. So I guess he's hedging his bets and playing
the big markets,
but less, not trying to do 100 of those, trying to do the big cities and consolidate.
Well, and also a lot of times an artist will play multiple nights in a big market to allow, time to soak up the local and people to come in for it. Because if you're only playing, say, the only place in the South you're playing is Atlanta, then people will come in for that show. And if there's demand, you can do 2 shows here, as opposed to if you're, playing Athens and Columbus and Atlanta, then you're going down to Florida.
Well, when I would go in New York, when I grew up in New York, when Rush would come to New York, they would play Madison Square Garden and Nassau Coliseum and the Meadowlands in New Jersey. So I would see them 3 times on the tour.
Yes, you would.
Of course I would. But I mean, there was they were filled every time, and it wasn't just the same, 25,000 people. It was.
But there were some that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there were nerds like me.
There were people like you going.
It's a bad example, but I mean, artists of that range can fill multiple nights at the same time.
I have never seen the same band on multiple nights unless I was on tour with them.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy music as much as the next guy, but once I see a show, I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. Because it's a lot of time and effort and money. Now, of course, just in the tri-state area there, it's not too much of a haul to.
No, it was a subway ride. I mean, the hardest one was getting out to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, because it was like a long bus ride and I didn't have a car. But like Nassau Coliseum, the Long Island Railroad, or there would be somebody else going. So yes, it wasn't that bad of a commute to get to the thing. I wasn't traveling states, I wasn't.
And of course, I got spoiled growing up in Southern California.
Yeah,
they would almost always play San Diego, but if they didn't, they would always play Los Angeles. I mean, a lot of my favorite British bands, if they came over just to do 1 or 2 shows, one of those cities is going to be Los Angeles.
Yeah, of course.
Los Angeles and New York, probably Chicago. Sometimes they'll come over and test the waters and do some stuff. And they'll always play Los Angeles. So I got spoiled. Any band I wanted to see, I just had to wait.
Yeah, New York was the same way.
Yeah, they would. Here in Atlanta, though,
it's better than it was, but it was hit or miss there for a couple of years.
I tell you, I waited so long for certain bands to show up here, and eventually they would get around to it. But it's just very irritating, especially when you look. Oh my God, they just announced dates for Atlanta. I go, Tennessee, Florida, and then they fuck off.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's like you're gonna pass right through Atlanta on your way either to Tennessee or down to Florida. But I have a feeling that there must be something amongst tour promoters where they've got they don't like booking shit in Atlanta, or they're very particular in Atlanta, or they think that there's not a market here for certain acts because they think that it's all rap acts and things
all
for
hip hop,
and it's not. My gosh, I mean, Echo and the Bunnymen, Adam and the Ant, they may play a little bit smaller venues,
right?
I mean, hell, when I was on tour of the Beautiful South, we never played anything over maybe 600 seats, and they could sell out stadium sizes over in England, but they knew that in certain countries and certain continents and areas, you don't book Infinite Energy when you can only fill the Variety Playhouse.
Exactly.
Or if anything, you'd much rather leave a little money on the table and sell the place out than eat half the seats.
Yeah.
and because you can't fill the place.
Well, the good thing about Atlanta now is we've got like almost every level of venue size. I mean, Buckhead Theater and Variety Playhouse can get, you like Dweezil Zappa can fill that, can sell that out. And
you bump up a little bit more, Tabernacle,
yeah.
You bump up a little bit more, and then you're starting to get into like maybe Fox Theater size.
Yeah.
And then you bump up more, and then you're in Infinite Energy and Cobb Energy Center.
And they're even doing at the new baseball stadium, like Metallica played there and Billy Joel played there.
You know what tour is coming that I heard this band was coming, and I went, ooh, I haven't seen them. I got to go. And then I find out they're playing with Journey and I think Def Leppard.
Who?
The Pretenders.
Huh.
I mean, I know the Pretenders they're not new wave. They never really were. They had a little bit of a new wavy feel on some stuff, but they're pretty much kind of post-punk Americana rock with a little bit of something there. And it just doesn't seem like a good fit. Now, of course, the Pretenders are staples at certain classic rock radio
That's
stations.
what I mean. They get lumped into the classic rock thing.
But, I mean, for me, Chrissie Hynde, like, man, just an errant look from her could probably kick the ass of half the people in the country.
Yeah, when I played in London at that festival, we made them late. And it because we went over our time.
Oh, were you on before the Pretenders?
Immediately before the Pretenders. So we got yelled at by the stage manager pretty hard, but we didn't care. It was like, when the fuck are we ever going to do this again?
Exactly. Wow, you dared to possibly irritate Chrissie Hynde.
Never saw her, so I wasn't worried.
I bet you'd pass in the hallway and she'd like elbows you in the like, motherfucker. But you know what? About that kind of shit, she's probably totally laid back.
Yeah.
She wrote an autobiography, and she was being interviewed by Terry Gross on Fresh Air, and man, that was a brutal. Brutal. It was like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. It's in the book, And part of it was her just being a hard ass, and part of it was like, come on, you know why you're on here.
Yeah.
To give us a taste, to talk about the book, to,
make people want to read the book.
Exactly. But you know what? If you pour your heart and soul into a book about your life and you talk about all the difficult things and then you set it aside, I could see where her going, I'll promote the book. Like, here's the thing I did. Go check it out. Let's talk about on page 72 when you talked about, almost being raped or some guy, like, no, I don't want to talk about that. I put that in the book to get it out so I wouldn't have to talk about it. And I get that. Yeah. But it was really fun listening to Terry Gross squirm because she's just the worst.
Really? You don't like Terry Gross?
No, not a fan.
Huh.
Not a fan. Now, I'm a fan of the show in that the caliber of people they get, and she can winkle out some good stories out of people. But she talks over them and asks some of the most inane questions that just makes me ill. And sometimes the person being interviewed can rise above the interviewer and give us something that's really awesome. But, yeah.
Well, she was on, they did a cool thing. She had Mark Maron on for, a couple of times. And then he turned the tables on and had her on his show.
Oh.
Like, he interviewed her.
He does that.
Yeah. But, I mean, they did it. It was, I think it was at the, whatever it is, 62nd Street Y in New York. They did a live show and he interviewed her.
I want to go to that Y because it sounds like it is awesome.
92nd Street Y.
92nd Street Y, yeah. So many things.
Oh my God. They just did, I have to find the video. They just did a Q&A interview with Frank Oz and Mark Hamill. I mean, yeah, there's a video of it, I hope, somewhere. So.
Remember that time you were on the Muppet Show together?
Oh, I think they interviewed each other or something.
That was awesome. Yeah, those are even, that's even the best.
Yeah.
When there's no interviewer. There's two people that are both somewhat connected, and they can get back and forth and stuff like that. Yep. Kind of like Between Two Ferns, only like serious and not. I still think the Galifianakis,
one of the greatest shows of all time.
The one with President Obama. That was wonderful. Do you watch Baskets? No, of course not. You don't watch Baskets.
I have no time.
That's the show. That's the show that he's.
I wanted to.
He's been doing. Even though it was created by Louis C.K., they've kept it on the air. And he still has his credit as a creator, but he's off because, I mean...
Well, yeah.
But as far as going forward after the incident,
yeah.
You know, I'm still bummed that he turned out to be kind of a dick about it. Now, on a scale of, you know, Cosby to doing nothing, he's closer to nothing than Cosby, but still, dude,
what he did was
he didn't
inexcusable.
physically put hands on people. But dude, come on.
Yeah.
Just
I didn't know they weren't flattered by that. It's like, what are you talking about? You know? So.
Louis. Well, you know, as happens, and it probably will happen, give it another 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
He'll dip his toe back in perhaps, and we'll see what people think.
We'll see. We'll see where the climate is, because, I mean, it's a real thing. The Me Too movement is a real thing.
Yeah, he picked the wrong time to get found out and be called out.
Yeah, without a doubt.
As part of all that.
But good. I'm glad he got called out.
Oh, absolutely. Caught, so. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, no one wants to walk into a room and go, oh, well, there's your dick. Oh, look, you're playing with it.
And you won't let me leave.
Yeah, I did not sign up for that. So I'll be over here with my back turned until you're done. God, that's horrible. Speaking of things people don't want to see, did you like the last Star Trek film?
No.
Did you see the last Star Trek film?
We saw it together.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
It left that much of an impression on me.
I have not been I'm not a big Star Trek fan to begin with. I watched like every episode of Next Generation, and then I never was a fan of the original series, and I watched.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, not to a degree. I mean, I've always been so
it's a
hard.
Great series.
And it is fine. It never grabbed me. I was such a deep into Star Wars.
You were so taken with.
I was so indoctrinated at an early age that it never like
they were Bloods and you were Crips, and
it
was not gonna.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I remember seeing it and I was like,
yeah. Guess who they're gonna get to be the new villain in the next Star Trek film?
Jeez, who?
From the depths of obscurity, they're gonna bring in
medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Bronner Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard and Fine. Which background Beetlejuice character am I? Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by D-Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen and watch on YouTube. Listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOC.
Audio Primate.